The Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, the Honourable Sindisiwe Chikunga, has today addressed the International Association of Women Judges, a timely event as we mark Women's Day and Women's Month. Now, this year's address comes against the backdrop of a troubling rise in gender-based violence, a pressing issue that has since captured national attention. The Minister is also expected to speak on the urgent need for stronger legal frameworks, enhanced support systems for victims, as well as a collective commitment to eradicating the scourge from our society. Well, for more on this and other issues affecting women, let's extend a very hearty, warm welcome to Minister of Women, Youth, as well as Persons Living with Disabilities, the Honourable Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga herself. Minister, thank you so much for your time, and happy Women's Month and Day for yesterday, but still in the spirit of celebrating our women. Quite a number of issues, as you heard in my intro, affecting South African women at this stage: GBV, femicide, inequality, poverty, just to name a few. You have been tasked with ensuring that these are severely dealt with, with your recent appointment as well, and a new minister in this portfolio. So talk to us about some of the plans that you have in place to address these everyday injustices against women in South Africa.
No, thank you very much for having us, and a happy Women's Month to you too. Indeed, as you have said, I today addressed judges. I must tell you that it is intimidating, however, very fulfilling, because one had an opportunity of not only addressing judges as a minister, but also as an ordinary South African who receives justice from them. And we were able to look at the achievements that they have made, the very fact that for the first time in the history of South Africa, we're going to have a woman Chief Justice. But also they were able to actually highlight issues that empower women within justice system. Quite a number, in fact, the Deputy Chief Justice is a woman. Quite a number of other courts are headed women, which thing has not been the case in South Africa, and actually related to us that in 1994 we had something like 166 judges. Of those 160 were white men, and 3 were black men, and only 2 were white women. But today they actually are saying they now have 113 judges who are women, which is actually 46%. And therefore for us that is equity happening practically, and we are very happy about that. But of course we then raise issues that despite all this, the progress that we have made in ensuring that we empower women judges, but we do have challenges such as gender-based violence. And we all the measures that we have put in place, including legislation, the Domestic Violence Act, your Criminal Justice Procedure Act, and quite a number of others. But we still have gender-based violence being on the increase. And we're actually saying to judges, maybe let's identify as to what the issues and what the problems are. Our legislation is not enough and not adequate to deter these things from happening. We looked at issues related to young children getting pregnant, your 10-year-old getting pregnant, up to 14-year-old getting pregnant, and the numbers are actually increasing. And this actually means we do have statutory rape, and all the numbers that are there, very few end in court. For instance, I think in the Eastern Cape, we reported 553 girls aged between 10 and 14, but of those only 60 cases of statutory rape were open. This actually means for something like 493 men who are out there supposed to be facing these criminal charges in courts, who just are working through with children who now have are mothers, even if they themselves are children. So these are the issues that we raised with the judges to say, maybe we need working together as a state, three-armed as a state, to say where is the problem? Is it with the legislation that we have? Is it with execution or implementation of legislation? Is it with the investigation of these cases or them not being reported at all? But these statistics, we get to know about them. So yes, indeed, there was that interaction, I must say, and it was received positively by the judges.
Now, yesterday, Minister, you had Prof. Ada with the President in a largely rural and remote area. And now there are still, of course, a lot of underdeveloped rural areas across the country. The President did commit to addressing this issue in his opening address of the new administration. So from your side, we'd like to know, how do you plan to make inroads in assisting these women who are often left behind in terms of education, technology, and some very basic resources in order to better their lives in rural areas?
Okay, maybe just on the issue of gender-based violence, there is criminality involved in that. Whether a person is assaulting a woman, a person is raping a woman, whatever it is, it's this criminality in that. And what we think should happen is to ensure that our justice is actually fighting, so that it does serve as a deterrent in whatever way. But also to look at the issue of family, because one of the reasons behind this is complete loss of morals, but also of our parents being able to socialize their children. But coming to the issue of economic empowerment, we met with Umanyano, but we also met with the business women in the area. And all that they were asking for is financial support, but also assisting them to get markets. And we promised that we'll be going back to Prof. Ad, including Uppington. And the Premier of Northern Cape, Dr. Zamani Sol, announced a number of projects that are ready to empower women. But remember also the President signed into the Public Procurement Act, which actually talks to 40% of preferential procurement. We will definitely be expecting departments and all governments to ensure that they do this and that it happens practically. So
all
yes,
right.
the department will monitor, will evaluate, and we will ensure that it all happens.
All right. Unfortunately, Minister, your line is quite inaudible there. We're going to have to leave this interview there. But nonetheless, thank you so much for your contribution, and a happy rest of Women's Month. That is the Honourable Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga there.